PCR274, and in today's tutorial, it happens to be the continuation of our course, PCR274. We are optimistic that the network will be on our side today, and we have a network on our side. We can at least cover what is left of the course in today's class. And the next time we are meeting for this department, it will be another course entirely. All right. So for those of us who are new to the stream, let's ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's ensure to smash the like button and use the comment section to draw my attention to anything it is I might have said during the course of the class which you don't understand. Now, according to the course material, we are to take our bearing from the conflict handling style for tonight. All right. So far, we have been discussing a whole lot about the term conflict. All right. We've also been able to discuss that conflict is not necessarily, all right, destructive. All right. Conflict can also be constructive. All right. And it all boils down to how the conflicting situation is being handled. Very important. So today, we're going to be talking about what it means by conflict handling styles. All right. Now, one thing we need to bear in mind is that conflict is not always a destructive occurrence. All right. Conflict can be indeed the springboard of development and improved relationship. All right. It's not always conflict handling style. Okay. According to what we have here, it says conflict is not always a destructive, all right, occurrence. As a matter of fact, it is indeed, all right, a springboard of development and improved relationship between or among the parties involved. A springboard all right, a springboard of what? Development. A springboard of development. And not just that, improved relationship between, all right? It can also be a springboard to an improved relationship. Now, let's explain this. When we talk about being a springboard of development, now, we've seen cases, we've seen situations whereby the post-conflict occurrence in a country, all right, in a state or a society lead to the better how to move such a country forward. Do you know that the Chinese people believe that for there to be a success, for there to be a progress, for us to move forward as a society, there must be conflict. Because during the process of conflict, we get to find out our dis and all right, things we have in common together. All right, our likes and dislikes will be discovered. And so, therefore, we can avoid certain things that can lead to conflicting situations because now we have a better understanding of these situations. All right. And by doing so, improve relationship as well. Now, let's take a step further. Making the best out of any conflict will depend on the style used in handling the conflict. Definitely. Making the best out of any, all right, conflict will depend on the style. All right, it depends on the style used in handling such situation. Okay, now speaking of which, some of the conflicts handling styles are avoidance, confrontation, third party decision making, and joint problem solving. I'm going to take that again. Some of the conflict handling styles are avoidance. Okay, we have avoidance, we have confrontation. Okay, we also have third party decision making, also joint problem solving. Speaking of avoidance, it is a scenario in which the party alleging injustice, oppression, marginalization, or discrimination is snubbed or disclaimed by those who have the authority and capacity to address the situation. To avoid, Mr. A has the justice, Mr. B is the oppressor. Mr. B here keeps oppressing Mr. A, challenging. This Mr. A has the justice to take up this case with Mr. B, but instead, Mr. A here avoids Mr. B on every front of conflict. So the basic explanation to what I've just said. Some of the features of avoidance style include denial of conflict. All right. The denial of conflict. We also have joking instead of dealing with conflicts and paying undue attention. When somebody is doing things just to make you get angry, to get your attention, to make you flare up, and rather you're not paying attention, that is a conflict handling style, and it is called avoidance. We also have suppression. Here, the style is on the perception and assessment of dominant party of the other party in conflicting situation. Now, the practice here is that the dominant party suppresses the other party with sole aim of vanquishing the concerned party. When you suppress, all right, in order to eliminate the factor of conflicting situation. Okay, let's take a step further. We also have compromise. When we speak of compromise, it entails the search for mutually satisfactory outcome. All right, when both parties are interested in looking for options that will mutually satisfy both and the conflict resolved. That is for compromise. Okay, now, okay, we are good to go now. Can we all hear me? When we talk about dialogue, it is a form of conversation, all right, and relating with people that is different, all right, from negotiation because it tries to do what? Inform but not persuade, all right. Dialogue is different from mediation, all right. It's different from negotiation because of what? It is intentional about informing but not persuading, all right. The first condition for success is the removal of stereotype. When you talk about dialogue, you are coming to the table, all right? Eliminates stereotype and a readiness to listen and appreciate others' view and willingness. Very important. Now let's take a step further. Now we've been talking about handling styles, okay? Conflict handling styles. And we've been able to talk about an handful of different styles, okay? Now, one thing we also need to understand now that when we talk about handling conflict, we need to know the values of this conflicting party. Very important. All right. For you to be able to resolve a conflict, you need to understand the values that the conflicting parties hold. With this, you then know how to come in. Now, let's hear what Herbert has to say about what values mean. Values, according to Herbert in 2001, Albert is of the opinion that values are an enduring organization belief concerning preferable modes of conduct or end states of existence along a of relative importance. Now let's pick out the point here. Albert here is that Albert here simply is saying, all right, is simply saying that when we talk about value, it is an enduring, all right, it has come to stay for as long as possible, all right. Organization, not just anyhow, any kind of these are beliefs that have been passed down from generations. An organization, all right, belief, all right. These beliefs are so important that it determines the mode of conduct, all right. It determines the mode of conduct and the existence, all right, and the existence of their way of life or the way of life. Also, having known the values, you also need to put into consideration positions. All right. It is important to identify the positions, interests, and needs of these parties in conflict. Now, when we say position, Albert in 2001 also said position is seen as what each side to the conflict openly profess. This is my, it's not like just like an opinion. This is my position, my stand, my opinion in this situation. Okay. So let's talk about the tools of conflict analysis. For the tools, it says here that conflict analysis is a practical system of examining and understanding the reality, all right, of the conflict from varieties of perspectives. Now, the outcome determines the basis on which strategy can be worked out, an action plan. So, therefore, you need to bear in mind that tools and techniques of conflict analysis are not rigid. Are we together? They are not rigid. In the sense that one tool worked for a situation does not mean that this tool will work for every situation. And a tool can be working as of the moment which is being applied, and it can become obsolete. Remember, we have been told that the outcome determines the basis on which strategy. It's just like in forex trading. You see the margins, maybe the candles, or what are they referred to? You see going up and dropping down. So as it is going up and dropping down, you must also be changing your strategy. Some of these tools we are going to be discussing now. To start with, we have the pyramid. Pyramid, the conflict tree. All right, conflict mapping. All right, the onion and the ABC triangle. Definitely not be able to cover all, but let's touch on some of them. Now, for the pyramid, it is a graphic chart. All right, this graphic chart is this type that shows the different levels of stakeholder in a conflict. You know who the stakeholders are? Those that makes a conflict what is, those involved, whether directly or indirectly. So we have the tree. The conflict tree is also a graphical tool, but this is more of sorting out issues central to the conflict. And therefore, we have the onions, very useful in determining what different parties in a conflict are demanding. All right, central issues. This one is okay. This is mapping. Now I just said onions now, so let's go to mapping. Mapping is a visual device. A visual device for showing the relationship among parties. Relationship among parties. So mapping here has certain elements, or we call them keys. All right, with certain symbols. Where you have straight line, it indicates fairly close relationship or close relation. We have double connection line, it indicates alliance. They are coming together. When you have dotted lines, it indicates informal or intermittent link. All right, casual. When we have arrows indicate predominant direction or influence. when we have zigzag, all right, zigzag line indicate discord. Double lines, all right, like a well across single lines indicate broken connection, all right, and so on. We have other points here that we might not have time to go through, and that's why I encourage us to please let's join the private class as you'll be getting more points, all right, when you get the keynote, practice questions, and a whole lot of resources. Now, let's talk about peace building. When we say peace building, we are simply intentional about the transformation of conflict. All right? Conflict. Peace building occurs after a period, all right, of armed conflicts. It's not something that happens before. Something has happened, so you're trying to rebuild. All right, something that was gone, peace was gone. So you're not trying to rebuild peace as a result of the occurrence of war that has occurred. All right. For peacemaking, after we have peacemaking and peacekeeping. This happens before. All right, occurs before and during armed conflict. Okay. Okay, I just realized that the microphone is down now. Okay, can you all hear me now? So I was explaining, I said violence are caustic, all right, with force, the use of force or aggressiveness. Also, I was able to establish the fact that violence is being carried out by an actor, all right, the individual who expresses this aggressive behavior is called the actor. The individual that inflicts, the force is called the actor. So we have to understand. There's something called rule of transformation or rule transformation. When we talk about rule transformation, we are simply referring to those rules put in place to ensure a successful transformation. Now, let's take this. It says, as we have had of rule transformation, which are the rules, the guiding principles to ensure a successful transformation. We also have actor transformation. And for actor transformation, it's more of the responsibility of individuals. Alright, individuals that ensures, just like we have the actor that inflicts violence, we also have actors that ensures transformation. So, here is what we call the wrap for tonight, and we call the wrap of the course PCR274. It's been an interesting one so far. Please, let's keep our notes up to date and submit them to the appropriate quarters. For those of us who haven't joined the pilot class yet, like I said, we're already giving out the keynotes, and it's highly essential you get the keynote. Do not reach out to us today on our official website, which is www.star.net. I'll be happy to have you on board. Do have a wonderful evening, and bye for now.